I'm saying to those of you that struggle with same-gender attraction, wilt thou be healed? Because that's a component of being healed. Okay, there has to be this desire that you be healed. Okay, and so I'm just testifying that if you have that desire to be healed, Jesus' redemption power and resurrection power, it's enough. Dunamis is enough. Okay, now that doesn't mean you don't have work to do, because the scriptures are pretty clear. In fact, in you know I'm really big on scriptures, but in Romans chapter 12 verse 2, and this is Greek, I write it out in Greek, and not be conformed to the age this, but be transformed by the renewing of the mind, for to prove you by what is the will of God, the good and the well-pleasing and perfect. And so the word, so we do have to renew our minds, okay? And that's what I help people do. I help them find the thought life that is underneath the feeling, you know, okay? And so I try to tell people, don't make decisions based upon your feelings, because feelings are an alarm system. They are not a good source of decision making, but they are a good alarm system. For you to know there's thought life that's lurking in your subconscious that needs your attention so you can crush the serpent's head. That way then your mind can get renewed. Now, interesting, the word prove, and the word prove in this particular verse, it means to put to the test, examine, distinguish by testing, but it does not focus on disapproving something. It does not focus on proving something as bad. Okay, that's not the intent of the whole concept of proof. Okay, and that's really important, because, you know, a lot of times worth is associated with, ooh, I got to prove myself worthy. No, I mean, in the sense of, this has nothing to do with your worth, your value being bad, or that's just not even in the concept of God's mind. His mind doesn't even think in that terms, and we need to think like he thinks. Okay, so this doesn't have to do, so examining yourself doesn't have to do with proving that, ooh, you're a bad person, shaming you. No, we're not supposed to walk in shame and condemnation, okay, because we're covered in the blood of Jesus Christ. But we do need to examine what's going on in the soul, which is the thoughts, feelings, and will. We have to examine, is it in alignment with God's will? Okay, and so anyone struggling with same-gender attraction, I'm going to testify to you, there's issues in the soul that need to be addressed. They're out of alignment with the will of God. They're more in alignment with the will of the person, and that's what we're here for. We have certain trials, and in my opinion, same-gender attraction is a trial. I have my trials, I mean, and a lot of them. I mean, like
names.
You know, yeah, one of them was, I used to be anorexic. I used to struggle with anorexia when I was in my young 20s. And I equate, now that I go look at the thought life that I used to engage in, it is the same intense, low sense of self thought life that anyone that struggles with addiction, especially same-gender attraction, it's the same scripts. I call them Lucifer scripts. The thought life's the same. It's really funny. I was working with a client last week, and his, you know, the thought life, and it just reminded me, whoa, that used to be my thought life, you know? So I wrote down my thought life, and I wrote down, you know, the client's thought life, and oh my gosh, they match. So they're Lucifer scripts, though, and they're not in alignment with God's opinion of us. We are a masterpiece. And see, that's my value, is that I'm a masterpiece, but so is everybody else. Now, everybody's different masterpiece. You know, you all look different, your talents are all different, and so we're all different in the way of masterpieces, but we're all a masterpiece. You know, I'm going to call myself the Mona Lisa, too, you know. So it gives me a visualization of, there's this beautiful piece of art. Now, some art is all modern, and see, I don't particularly like modern art, but you know, God created it, so he must like it. So do you see how everybody's just a different masterpiece? Okay, we all like different things, but keep in mind that you are here through trials, proving. Okay, proving meaning you're examining that soul so that it is led. So if anything in the soul dissociated from alignment with God thinking, then you're going to get it back into alignment. You don't want to be missing the mark, because sin is to miss the mark. You didn't hit the bullseye. Well, we want the soul hitting the bullseye, and we want to be spirit-led. Okay, to be spirit-led instead of soul-led. I call it soul-driven. We don't want to be soul-driven. We want to be spirit-driven. Because when you're driven by the Spirit, supernatural things happen. And I can attest to that. I've had so many supernatural things happen. And I think I've told people before how, I was certainly not going to vote for Trump. But when the Lord gave me several visions that Trump's going to win the presidency, Deanna, I'm like, oh, okay. So does that mean I need to ask you who to vote for? And that, this is pretty sad. And I'm a political science major. And it took me 56 years to figure out, I should go ask God about that. So it's pretty embarrassing, but so that taught me a lot, that God came and showed me who was going to win the presidency. And so since then, I've been on that roll, and God has showed me many things, many things. We have a far better relationship now, because now I go to Him pretty much on everything. Even if I need to buy a pair of boots, I say, God, where do you want me to go buy these boots? That way I don't have to spend 10 hours in the mall. I can just go directly to, and it's happened before. It really did. I found my favorite boots by saying, Holy Spirit, where do I go? And boom, took me to a store that I would not have gone to. But that's how the Spirit works. Again, being Spirit-led. Okay? So remember, we all have to examine ourselves to see if the soul is in alignment with the Spirit, so that we can be Spirit-led. Alrighty? Again, and it's not for any shaming purposes. Okay? We're all here learning. Okay? We're here learning, and we're here learning by trials. And we've all had them. Okay? Nobody's oblivious to trials. At least everybody in this room I know has had massive trials. Alrighty? So that's why we all get along so well. Alright? Okay. Now, I also want to say that, again, what I want to speak on is that my purpose is not to shame. It's not to shame those struggling with same-gender attraction. It's not to shame parents for anything that you've ever done. I trust that everybody was doing their best. Okay? And I can even say that for my own parents who, if I were to let my soul speak, my soul would say they did a really lousy job. But if I let my spirit speak, my spirit would say, God put me there on assignment, and I was there to learn things. And if I wasn't there learning the things I needed to learn, I wouldn't be able to do my purpose and destiny. So do you see how my spirit has a whole different thought life than my soul does about my parents' parenting? Okay, now, I like my spirit's version much better. Do you see what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because it has no shame in it. But if you were to talk to my soul has a different opinion, and there would definitely be some victim, some persecuting going on there in my soul. So again, I'm doing my best to be Spirit-led. And that's why I'm promoting, let us be Spirit-led, because if there is judgment, and again, poor me, or rescuing others so you can avoid dealing with your own emotional pain, or he's a jerk, he's a loser, he's a freak, none of that is of the Spirit. Okay, and it's an alarm system that's letting you know from the words that you speak. It's letting you know, is it in alignment with God, or is it in alignment with Lucifer? Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? So I have to watch myself constantly, and this is why I listen to preachers every day. I listen to preachers every day because I want to be constantly Spirit-fed, and anything good, be it prophets and general authorities, or all the pastors that preach. Like I love Bill Johnson. I love Chris Ballatin. I love Chris Gore. There's just some brilliant people out there preaching on the Word, and it is good. It's good, and Okay, and so I'm just taking everything that I've gleaned and just going to throw it back at you. Okay, so let us go back to same gender attraction. To me, it's a sex addiction. Okay, and it's all based and it's based on attraction. Now, what I have found in my work, and I will always have clients, I'm big into brain association. See, I want to go find the thought life that is causing the problem. See, attraction isn't the problem. The thoughts associated with attraction are the problem. Okay? So what I typically do is have clients we write down the word attraction, because really it's the only way to know your thought life is you got to write down a word and then let everything fall out of your brain that's in the subconscious, because that's the way you're going to edit the subconscious. You can't edit it by, again, you can't renew your mind if you're not going to pay attention to what's in your mind. Alrighty, most people know, well, yeah, I had a thought that, I'm ugly. Okay, there's going to be a lot more thought life in association with that, and we want to net them all in. You're attracted to. Start getting into that feeling of a person that you're attracted to. And now, write down all the thought life. Okay, those struggling with same gender attraction will have certain thought life that that fall onto the page. But those that don't struggle with same gender attraction will have a whole different kind of thought life. Okay? So the thought life of those that don't struggle with same gender attraction, their attraction will be characteristics of the other person. Oh, well, he's so, generous. He's so kind. He's handsome. He's confident. He's intelligent. He's really loves his mother. It'll be characteristics that you really like in the other person. Okay, and that's for those that I've had write the word attraction down. That again, they don't struggle with same gender attraction. Their attraction is focused on the other person. But with those that struggle with same gender attraction, they're going to put down this kind of thought life. I will matter. I will be understood. I will be approved of. I will be accepted. I will be valued. I will be adored. I will be desirable. I will belong. And one person even wrote, replacement of lacking. And I asked this client, can you elaborate on that? What do you mean by that? Because we're talking about attraction. And he said, the client said, well, the lacking will disappear. Okay, now there you go. Okay, there's your purpose for the attraction, is so that lacking will disappear. And what typically is lacking, there's this low sense of self. Most of it will be about looks. Like, my looks aren't quite right. Something's wrong with my looks. And anorexics are the same way. They feel ugly. So in some type of way, the person struggling with same gender attraction will feel that their body's not quite right. Their jawline's not right. Their chest, something's wrong with their chest. Their hair isn't, something's just inadequate about their looks. They're very, very dehumanizing of their looks. Okay? And an anorexic is the same. I just see so much similarity between the two. It just boggles my mind. But, okay, so again, there will be this dehumanizing of looks. And the weird thing is, you as a person will not have the same opinion. You will think, oh, you're handsome. Or to the anorexic, no, sweetie, you're very beautiful. And from society standards, you're underweight rather than overweight. Okay, so their perception is very irrational and skewed. Okay, but that's what Lucifer does. He comes in because there's been some trauma somewhere, and usually, again, early childhood, and then boom, landing strip for Lucifer to just really wreak havoc and cause this person to start seeing themselves so, we call it body dysmorphia. You just see it so differently than really what's truly going on. Okay, so they dehumanize their looks. They do not feel understood. They feel different. They feel weird. They don't feel normal. They 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 get they have a hard time connecting with people, and so they can end up getting bullied, made fun of, and that adds to the dysmorphia regarding their looks or them as a person, their identity. A lot of times the males struggling with same gender attraction will not feel male. They'll feel so weak. They'll have a weak male identity. Okay, and they struggle greatly with that, and they have a hard time standing up for themselves. And again, we always have to go back in childhood. In EMDR, we call it take the train back. You know, and Jesus calls it go look for the beam in your eye. But you got to take that train way back to the original trauma of when you started thinking thought life like that. Because once you think a thought life like that, you're a landing strip. You just came into agreement with Lucifer. Now, you could be 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'm not saying life's fair, because it's not. I mean, it's kind of, you know, it's pretty sad when you're 5 years old and you start thinking, I'm ugly, I want to die, I can't connect to anybody, you know, and I used to think thoughts like that very early on. There's even one time, and I did not know God at all, okay, but I was about 12, and I just wanted to die, those thought life, and I still have that thought life in my, you know, it's in my neural pathways. We can't do a lobotomy, although I'm sure some people would like me to do a lobotomy. Okay, but the thought life's still there. So there's still thought life there that just kill yourself, Deanna. End your life. Life's not worth living. Life's too hard. You know, and so I remember, and I was 12, and again, I didn't know God at all, but I looked out the window and I just begged. So you see, now why would I sit there and look out the window and start begging someone to please kill me? So see how I knew God, even though I didn't know God. My soul, even though I didn't know God, I wasn't taught about God, but I had to have known God, because I was sitting there praying to something up there in the sky and saying, please take me. I don't want to live anymore. Take me. I want to die. You know, okay? So it just shows you, when it really comes down to it, you have a spirit, and it reaches out to God in times of trouble, even if you don't know God, okay? So you'll go find those moments in childhood. So those neural pathways are there, and I have to be very careful, you know, vigilant about when I have moments of distress, that I have to then put that distress on the altar of God, so that the neural pathways of go kill yourself don't get activated. Okay, and so what I've seen with same-gender attraction is there's a lot of, I just want to die. What's the point of living? You know, I'm never going to be happy. There's just all this thought life that is what I would call very much contracts the body, because thought life either expands the chest out or it's going to contract the chest. It's going to perhaps turn on the autonomic nervous system. Okay, so I'm always assessing thoughts as to, is that thought going to contract, or is it going to help the body expand? And that's really what everything should come down to, is does this particular thought contract me? Because then it's putting your autonomic nervous system at risk for being triggered, and then it's going to be fight, flight, freeze, and that's involuntary, and you will not be in charge. So if you want to be spirit-led, you've got to keep that autonomic nervous system off. So that means you can't be led by fear. Okay, and so, and I constantly, believe me, I constantly deal with that, okay, are the bills going to get paid this week? And it's got to put the fear on the altar. I mean, I have to do this work. I have to do this work every day. I have to watch for feelings every day. They are my alarm system, and that they get put on the altar if they're distressing in any way, and I get Jesus to change it up. Okay, and so this way, and I teach all my clients about putting things on the altar in spirit realm, so you visualize what it looks like. You visualize what the fear looks like. You visualize what the anger looks like. You visualize what the hurt looks like. You form a picture, and you have effective circuits in your head, so everybody's very capable of doing this. Now, sometimes you may see black, and you got to fly right through it, because on the other side, your brain will come up with pictures, okay, because God made you that way. So let's make sure that's working correctly. Sometimes we have to update the affective circuits because there's trauma imprinted in them. Okay? And that really interferes. But it's really very beneficial to, again, visualize it, put it on the altar of God, and then watch what Jesus does. And you'd never be able to make this up on your own. See, I can't, wow, you know what Jesus did? Like, actually, I visualized this morning, I was feeling a certain feeling, and so I visualized it, and it was a peanut. And I thought, why would that look like a peanut? But I thought, whatever. Okay, I'm putting it on the altar. And then I saw Jesus come, and he crushed the peanut. He crushed it into little tiny, tiny pieces, and then presented it back to me. Now, Deanna could have never thought that up on her own. I would have never thought of peanut. Okay, to symbolize the feeling that I was feeling. But Jesus knows better. And then you get to have these beautiful, wonderful experiences with Jesus Christ in that meditative mind's eye, because you have affective circuits. And so you can feel really close to Jesus because you're going to have lots of interaction with him. And he's always going to change it up to where then the thought life will be different. Because by the time he showed me all those peanuts all crushed together, and that it was pleasurable, because I do love peanut butter. He in a sense turned it into peanut butter. He took something that was very unpleasant, like a peanut, that has and it's got this hard, ugly, gorilla-looking shell, right? And he turned it into something very pleasurable. And that's what he did with my thought life. It was distressing, but then he turned it into something pleasurable. And that's what the gift of his peace is. And so I adore Jesus, because he will always take a distressing feeling and, again, turn it into something pleasurable in the spirit realm. And then the thought life will shift. Okay? Jesus is very awesome at shifting thought life. Again, he finds the enemy in the midst, and he crushes that head, and he puts in his thought life. So that's why Romans 12 verse 2 is so important, that we examine, so that we can prove whether the thought life we're thinking is in alignment with God, or is it in alignment with Lucifer. Because really there's just those, it really boils down to those two. Okay? So this whole concept of attraction, do you see why it really reveals, when someone shows what's in their subconscious, it really reveals that it has nothing to do with love. It has to do with lack of love of self. Okay? Mm-hmm. So the attraction is so deceptive, because they think, those that struggle with same-gender attraction, just got revealed in your subconscious. This has nothing to do with the other person. It has to do with your lack of sense of self, your lack of self-love. And so there, bingo, there's our treatment plan, is we've got to intervene and find out what brought about the whole I don't matter, I can't connect, I'm of no value, I'm not understood. We got to go take the train way back and find the origin of when those type of thoughts began. It's like when I said last week in the scripture in Ephesians 6, chapter 6, verse 12, where we don't war against flesh and blood. And I went into detail on what the Greek means of the four things we do war against. And the first one is origin. And I'm here to say it's the origin of your thought life. What's the origin? EMDR means, no, we got to go take the train back to the first time you started thinking that thought, the origin. Okay, there's your first enemy, is the origin of the thought. Again, is it Lucifer's thought, or is it God's thought? If it's a God thought, it will expand your chest. If it's a Lucifer thought, it will contract your chest. And your chest is another alarm system for you. If it tightens up, alarm system, that there's something that your brain is associating with the particular topic, and that if there's trauma there, you want to move that trauma, because as far as I'm concerned, the whole fact that I'm in the LDS denomination, I mean, if people hear the word LDS, a lot of people just freak out. And to me, you got trauma, go find the origin of the thought of what LDS means to you. Okay? Because frankly, I'm testifying to you, Jesus Christ came to me personally, because I see him face to face often, almost daily, and he told me, I appoint you at like military post to be in the LDS church. I can't leave my military post unless Jesus told me to. I will do whatever he tells me to. Okay? But he told me I am to stay there. I'm strategically placed. Okay, so to me, any place where you are at in your denominations, I'm going to venture you're strategically placed like I was. I wouldn't be asking you to leave your strategic post that Jesus assigned you to. Because here's the thing. It certainly has been a trial. Okay? It has not been an easy thing. It has been a trial in many ways. But see how that forces me to go do soul work. So I'm going to venture any place where you're strategically placed, there's some soul work to do. Now, if Jesus tells you to leave and go someplace else, okay, I'm all for whatever Jesus tells you. But I can't have other people tell me to leave something that Jesus told me to stay. Do you see what I mean? So whatever the association is with LDS, go do your soul work. Because I don't have any trigger about any denomination. Now, there's denominations out there I don't like, but I don't have any trauma about it. It's like I can still love you, and I can still have no judgment whatsoever. Okay, because my soul's aligned with God's will. Okay, so there's that issue out there too. So I don't know why we went down that bunny trail. Sorry. Okay, back to attraction. Okay, and again, that low sense of self, the weak male identity, the weak female identity. See, it all gets started early on, and we have to go find the origin of the weak feminine identity, the origin of the weak male identity. With my clients that are male, to me, that's a harder trial. Not that I'm belittling those that are female with the same gender attraction, but, having 4 boys myself and seeing how they have to approve of their maleness, and they're looking for people to approve of their maleness. I don't remember going around needing anybody to approve my femaleness. I don't remember having any thought like that. But the clients that I have that struggle with same gender attraction that are male, oh my goodness, they are just obsessed with the whole concept of not feeling male. And my heart bleeds for them. Because I desire for all of them to know that they are male. So it's almost like Lucifer's coming in and trying to rob them of that as well. If it's not enough to not feel like you're understood, that you matter, that you're loved, that's bad enough, because I know what that feels like. But then you got, and I don't know if I'm male, And so, again, we always go find the origin of the issue, and I always have. I've never had a client where we didn't go find the origin of the issue very early on in childhood. Again, it's going to be age 4, age 5. Sometimes it's even earlier than that, but most of the time it's right in that developmental stage. And those are attachment development stages. Okay, you are really in the thick of attachment development in those ages. And so if something goes awry, and again, it doesn't mean parents could have been really trying to do a great job, but it led to a weak male identity, or it led to a weak female identity, although, again, that one doesn't seem as strong as the male thing, okay? I'm telling you, I've never seen such obsession with looks, again, of not feeling male enough. And our society makes it difficult, because society has a definition of men. Well, society has a certain definition of women as well, and you can see why a lot of our women then fall prey to not feeling pretty enough, not feeling thin enough. And I certainly fell prey to that. Okay? Now, I didn't fall prey to the pretty issue because, I felt ugly because I was sent the message that I'm ugly. I had curly hair, nobody liked my hair, and apparently that was a big part of my identity. Not that I felt that way, but my family did. And But I was in a car accident, and my face went through the windshield. And so I looked like Herman Monster at the end of that car accident. Because, you know, I was all black, blue, glass all over. Took them long time to pick all the glass out of me and then sew me up. And I was told that I'd have to have plastic surgery to repair, you know, reconstructive surgery to repair my face. And, you know, I'm not into, I don't like surgery. I'd rather just be supernaturally healed. So I learned that I can't rely on looks, because they can be taken from you in a car accident in a second. So I knew, okay, Deanna's not going to rely on looks, you know. So I'm actually glad for that, because it made me go down a different road of relying on some other things. I just started relying on education. And I'm really glad that I did, because it made me go towards education, and the Spirit can really help me with that endeavor, because it's a righteous endeavor. So he did. The Spirit really helped me with that endeavor. I have quite a number of experiences that I know were supernatural. And God definitely blessed my educational pursuits. And so I'm really glad for that addiction. Although it was an addiction, because I was trying to get, you know, A after A after A, and then, okay, maybe the next A I'll feel good enough about myself. Maybe the next A, it'll show that I am smart instead of stupid, like my family always called me stupid. See, I was always trying to prove that I'm not stupid, that my words matter, that I have something of value to say. And then by the time I got my master's, I finally realized, you know, how many A's do you need, Deanna? Meaning, this doesn't work. So I gave that up. You know, the whole seeking approval from performance in grades. Gave that up. Now, I'm just in alignment with what God thinks of me. Okay, value is just a sure thing. Nobody can knock it off, no matter what you think of me. Okay, so, sorry, you don't have any power over me anymore. Ha ha, no. Not that way. Okay, so, any questions on the whole issue of attraction? And I've never seen this written. You know, everything that I have read, I've never seen this exercise talked about, where you have the client write this down, focus on who they're attracted, focus on that, and now write down what's in your subconscious. I've never seen anybody else talk on that. Not that other therapists haven't done it, but I think it's very important to understand this whole thing about attraction, that it really isn't about the feelings. It's not. That there's thought life that the feelings come from. Okay, so as an experiment, you know, go home, because I've done this and I've had other clients do it, and again, it's always about, so if I were to sit here and think about what I'm attracted to when I think of Bob and the attraction that I have for him, it will be focused on Bob's characteristics. It will have nothing to do with me. Okay, and then I even went back in childhood and thought, okay, remember the time when you were attracted to, you know, to my boyfriend? I had a boyfriend for like 3 years. And again, it was all about his characteristics, especially his characteristics of sweetness and kindness and generosity and, you know, boy next door. Like, it felt safe, emotionally safe, because he was just a really soft-spoken, sweet and kind person. Okay, and I liked that about him. Okay. So do you see how it was, my attraction was to that person's characteristics, okay? But it wasn't about, oh, then I'm going to feel valued. Oh, then I'm going to, okay, it wasn't about me. Now, granted, I'm sure underneath there, it's going to feel good to be in the presence of somebody that treats you really well, and that you really do like their characteristics. It's really cool to be in the presence of people you like their characteristics. Okay, it's going to end up feeling good. Okay, but again, there's just this difference between it's very him, her focused versus me, me focused. And that's another thing that, okay, so let me write a few things down here then. There's going to be intense low sense of self. There's going to be attraction associated with a me focus. And you need to raise up that Lucifer authored thought life and start thinking God authored thought life, so that the soul can be alive in alignment and you can be spirit led. Okay, so we all, if you ask, you say, God, show me in soul realm what's going on with, Susie Q. God, show me in soul realm what's going on with, like, if somebody bugs you, it could be somebody at church, it could be somebody in your family, it could be a neighbor. But so ask, instead of getting all lingering in the contracting type emotions, say, God, show me in soul realm what's going on in their soul. God always shows me, man, all the time. Then boom, I'll be praying right over that. I'll be praying right on top. Okay, Lord, you showed me this in spirit realm, so I'm just gonna, command, if I see demons, it'd be command those demons to depart. If I see, the person's eating dust, it tells me what to pray for, because what I have seen is that with the visions that God gives, it's so accurate that almost the minute I pray over that, you can see a big difference. Because you just created in spiritual realm the healing, and now it can manifest in physical realm. And I've seen this so many times. Supernatural miracles come from just saying a prayer on what I saw in spirit realm, which I used to think was really nutty, but I rolled with it anyway. And now I have such a testimony of it that to me, it's not doing it that way is nutty. I'd rather do it with God giving me a vision of what the condition of that person's soul is. And the scripture, Jesus did it that way. So let us role model after what Jesus did. Okay. So again, with this concept of same gender attraction in soul realm, I did see it as soot on the chest. And I mean, black soot from a mine. It's really bad. So, again, ask for God to reveal to you the soul realm, the spirit realm, how the soul's being impacted, and see that in vision. And that's a word of knowledge, and it's going to be the most accurate word of knowledge you're going to have. Okay. Okay, so any questions about, there just does seem to be this tendency for these particular clients to have a concrete thinking. And again, it's not about them being bad, it's just the way their brain processes information. I mean, I do have some clients that have struggled with same gender attraction that have the ability for a high EQ, but because they're so stuck in all, I call it hamster on the wheel, their thought life is just hamster on the wheel. It's not getting them anywhere. It's just keeping them going around and around and around and around. And that will make it look like they have low EQ. But once we get them off the hamster wheel, thinking God-like thought life, then I see that EQ just really rise up. Okay, so it's not that they're not capable, but it will look very, in a lot, there's definitely a concrete thinking going on. Okay, another thing, I mean, I mentioned that there's a lot of sexual abuse. And so what happens is a lot of them end up addicted to porn. And so, how much time do I have? Okay. Because I might have to, I'm going to go, Holy Spirit, what do you want me to do? Okay, let's go down the porn road. But I am going to, the next thing I'm going to focus on then is that disrupted attachment and what that's about, but that might involve a whole class in itself. But right now I'm feeling impressed to go down that a lot of people that suffer with same-gender attraction suffer with porn addiction. Okay, and so again, I'm big into brain associations. What is your brain associating with what you're looking at? So I will ask questions that, okay, tell me what kind of porn you watch. Now, tell me specifics about that porn. What do you notice about the guy that you're watching? And my clients will list to me, well, I'm noticing his hair, I'm noticing his chest, I'm noticing his body frame, I'm not, there's a whole list of what they're noticing. And then I will press them more into, okay, well, what does that mean to you? So what does the guy's hair mean to you? And what does the guy's chest mean to you? And what does the guy's frame mean to you? And then, bing, bingo. Well, the guy's hair, say if it's long hair, well, then he's more feminine, and that'll feel sweeter to me, and even safer. So boom, bingo, you just found the emotional issues, which is, okay, well, tell me how you don't feel safe, emotionally safe in your family of origin, and tell me how there's a lack of something sweet and feminine in your life. Okay, so does that make sense? That it's whatever they're looking at, whatever they're drawn to, what Jesus called that being the eye, right? You got to go to the perception to find truth. So if we press enough by, well, what does that mean to you? What does that mean to you? What does that mean to you? You are going to get to the origin, which is, well, that hair represents, again, sweetness, kindness, feminine, a little motherly, and again, emotional safety. I'm going to feel safer watching the guy with long hair because he'll seem more feminine. So it'll show me what's lacking, because usually what they're looking at is what they're lacking. It's like in the whole word attraction. Well, then I won't lack. The lacking will disappear. So I know this may not make sense, but to me it makes a lot of sense. Do you see what I mean? So when you're watching porn, your eye is perceiving what's in the picture and what it associates with that picture, and then it could feel like a compensation, because now the eye is witnessing a sweet, soft guy, and the body can then feel a relief that, but it shows me as a therapist that, okay, we got to go find what's lacking in, again, family connection, family and friends, the support system. Okay, and I'm going to venture there's something that's not emotionally, there's a lack of emotional attunement with family members. Now, we've said before, or I've said in class before, that a lot of problem I see is parents overdoing it or underdoing it. If a kid has an emotion, I call it, you're smothering your kid like with a pillow. Because, oh, honey, it's okay. Oh, no, I don't feel that way. And no, I'll give you the candy. And it's just like smothering the instead of the emotional attunement, which would be, honey, I see that you're distressed right now because you can't get the ice cream. Yep, I see that you're very distressed over that, meaning you're really disappointed that you're not getting that ice cream. I really get it, honey. And, if I wanted an ice cream, I'd be very disappointed too if I couldn't get it. So I see that, sweetie. And you see if their brain shifts on its own. If not, then maybe you can hug them so they can associate comfort with when they're distressed, like a baby. If a baby's crying, are you not going to pick it up and try to comfort it? Okay, so touch many times comforts a bit. So sometimes you just grab the kid and go, I'm sorry, sweetie, that you're disappointed. But certainly be attuned to the disappointment and say it out loud, and say it 3 times if you have to, so that brain can feel understood, acknowledged, that its feelings isn't bad, right, or wrong, that they're just feeling what they feel. And that you're right there saying, I'm right here to comfort you, honey. Okay, but see the difference between, oh no, I gotta put that feeling out like it's a fire or something. Like when kids cry, the parents are gonna go, and they're trying to put out that fire. Okay, that is not good protocol. Now, I know those parents are doing their best to comfort the kid, but that doesn't teach the kid how to manage disappointment. Because then they're gonna have mommy or daddy around 24/7. That kid's never gonna grow up. So we call that the brain is not going to emotionally mature. It's going to be very stuck. Okay, so parents can't do that. They can't do what I call the smother protocol. I know you're really trying to help your kid not to feel what they feel, but your job is to name what they feel. Use emotive language to name what they feel, and just be there in their Garden of Gethsemane until their brain shifts. Again, touching, I'm right here, sweetie. I totally get that's disappointing to you, honey. and I'm right here, and give some kind of touch, so they associate touch with comfort, and that sometimes they're going to have a distressful feeling, but they're going to make it through. You have confidence that you will shift through this, sweetie. I trust, especially if you say, I trust you're going to shift through this, honey. I trust. Okay, and they will. Okay, now see, there's my emotionally attuned protocol. Now, so the other one, so that's overdoing it. Now, the underdoing it is, get over it. Don't be a weenie. What are you, crybaby or something? Okay, there's the other side. Or directing them that you better stop feeling that way right now, or I'm going to give you something to cry about. Now, these are not my parenting strategies, but they are strategies that I have been exposed to. Okay, so do you see the overdoing? The overdoing is militant, directive, and shaming of the feeling. And especially anger. If your kids have anger, you just say, okay, I see that you're angry right now, honey. Now, if they're yelling or screaming, you're gonna say, okay, I'm gonna go walk over here because I need you to calm that down a bit so that we can talk things through. I'm not going to talk while your prefrontal cortex is turned off and your autonomic nervous system of fight mode that wants to kill me is on. So I'm just going to be over here, probably eating cookies, and you'll be without the cookies. But if you want to shift and come eat cookies with me, and then we'll talk about what you're disappointed about, because anger is disappointment, anger's hurt, anger's fear. Anger's about some other primary emotion, because anger is a defense system. Okay, so see the difference between emotional attunement versus being too directive, militant, and discounting of what that kid is feeling. And that's why they're going to end up feeling somebody's not validating the emotion that they're feeling. And again, that could be done by overdoing it or underdoing it. They're still going to not feel understood because the emotion was either pushed away too fast, nicely, or meanly. Okay? But our society is struggling with this greatly. I rarely see emotional attunement. I mean, when you go to the grocery store, do you see emotional attunement? No, I don't. I see a lot of way out of whack, overdoing it, underdoing it, and my heart bleeds for children. Okay, and this is sad because it's 2017, everybody, and there's a lot of knowledge out there, so there's no excuse for this much emotional misattunement. Okay, parents need to rise up and learn the skills that they need to learn, and I do think churches need to rise up and educate their population, their congregations, because I'm not really seeing that now. I know my denomination has a parenting class. And I got assigned to being in that class, and not that I mean to speak ill, but at being an expert, it just didn't even. To me, it was a waste of time. Okay, I would teach the class very differently, and I would be teaching protocol, especially how to be emotionally attuned. Protocol to be emotionally attuned. So I know my denomination has tried to step up and teach parents how to, but it's not adequate enough. And that's just the truth. Again, coming from somebody who's expert at this, and that I've taught parenting classes for years, and I know how this works. So we need improvement. We need improvement. Churches need to teach parenting. Okay, they do. I do. I think that's, if you're not getting it at home, because we aren't, right? I didn't get it at home. But we need it. Us parents need it. Because most parents are really good parents, but they just lack the skills. And that's nobody's fault. And they don't even understand that they need these skills, is the sad thing. So we got to get the word out that parents, this whole concept of emotional attunement needs to be number one, so that our kids are not going to end up having to go to addictions to meet their need for lacking emotional attunement. Let's see what else came to mind there. So, did I go down another bunny trail? Oh well. Okay, let's go back to the porn issue. So again, the brain is associating, say, long hair with that, or if it's a stylish hair. Okay, well, what does that stylish hair mean to you? Oh, well, then that's cool. Okay, in what ways do you not feel cool? Do you see how once the person tells me, this is what it means, Deanna, my immediate thing is going to go, and in what way do you lack? Okay, in what way do you not feel cool? Not feel stylish? Not feel, in with the in crowd? You're not connected. You see? And let's see. Sometimes there's there's a big strong male. It'd be okay. Well, what does that big strong male mean to you? What do you associate with that? Oh, he's strong, and in what ways are you not? Well, I don't feel like I could speak out, and I've gotten bullied, and so you really have to go heal bully trauma, because I see a lot of bully trauma with this population. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you is, and just guys that don't have same gender attraction but they're attracted to porn, I'm just going to throw a few examples out there of brain associations. So if I say, okay, well, what part of the porn do you like the best? Well, I like looking at the woman. Okay, what about the woman? Well, I like looking at her breasts. Okay, well, what do the breasts mean to you? Nurturing, softness, kindness. Again, do you see how, what are they lacking? Something that's nurturing, kind, and sweet. So do you see how the spirit that is within you desires softness, kindness, sweetness, because when you go to heaven, that's what it is. It is so loving. It is so sweet and kind. You feel so encircled in this cotton candy love that I certainly didn't want to come back down here. I was depressed, like, take me again, God, I mean, it's so wonderful up there. So do you see how the spirit longs for what it used to know, which is this kind, sweet love and being understood and being noticed and being valued and being noticed, because God notices you. You have a whole entourage of angels following you because God notices you so much. So, okay, now sometimes it'll be, well, I focus on the butt, Deanna. And I'll be, okay, well, what does the butt mean to you? And what does that mean to you? And what does that mean to you? And there may be there that client got spanked. And so, so do you see, then I can sometimes find trauma in what they're looking at. Because then, do you see what I mean? Then we're going to go heal that trauma. And then once we heal the trauma of having been spanked instead of having a loving experience, and that it draws them towards porn and looking at the butt. Okay, geez, I know it may sound all weird, but this is how the brain works. It's called brain associations. We have to track them like I'm a dog. And okay, Bob, don't laugh. And that I got to find that origin, the bone that's dug in there. I got to find that bone, pull it up, and go, here's the bone. It's just, and sometimes it's trauma. Sometimes it's trauma that then, so either it's the lacking where the picture of the good-looking male is compensating for how they don't feel good-looking, or the breasts are compensating for how they haven't had nurturing, sweet kindness in their life, or again, the butt is associated with the trauma of the being spanked as a kid and they didn't get to resolve that. So again, porn isn't really about anything sexual. I know that sounds weird, but it's true. If you go, again, look at the beam in the eye, as Jesus would say. There's nothing sexual that's going on in the perceptions of the subconscious. It looks sexual on the outside, but on the deep sea diving into the subconscious, doesn't have anything to do with sexuality. And so I say the same thing with regard to same-gender attraction. It's not about the sexuality. It's about the lacking. It's about that low, intense sense of self, and yes, the way they think gets in the way, and that, again, weak male identity, weak female identity, all that lacking is really what's going on, and it has to be healed. And so does that give you a better understanding of what porn is about? Because most people get all grossed out. But as a therapist, see, I don't focus on that. I focus on what is this brain associating with this particular porn that you are watching. Now, if somebody's watching young porn, okay, my first thought is going to be, oh, we got to go to the emotional maturity of that person. That what happened to you when, if they're attracted to, 14-year-olds, okay, what happened to you when you were 14? If you're attracted to 9-year-olds, okay, what happened to you when you were 9? See, I have to go to the trauma, all right? Because it's really not about the sex. It's about the trauma or the lacking and the brain associations and what's imprinted into the subconscious. You see, again, beam in the eye. And that's why we have to do beam in the eye protocol every day. Okay? Again, you have a whole different idea about porn now? Yeah.
Can you talk about what porn does to the brain?
Oh, okay. Now, this is not to say porn isn't the most dangerous thing, because it probably is. I mean, it's dangerous to the brain. It restructures your brain. Okay, to where the part of your prefrontal cortex is not activated when you're looking at porn. Now, the thing that most people don't know is that the brain is going to do the same thing looking at a person in a bikini as it does with looking at porn. So you need to know that. Okay, when the eye sees something of cleavage, when it sees something of midriff, and when it sees something of high leg, it's the same as looking at porn. Okay, the brain is activated the same way. So this is why Deanna doesn't wear a bikini. Okay, I wear board shorts and a top because I have 4 boys. I do not desire for their brains to be activated to where their insular and striatum is being activated, meaning the pleasure center of the brain, and their prefrontal cortex turn off. Because the prefrontal cortex is where you have a relationship and you care about the other person. You're utilizing, especially your left medial prefrontal cortex is really where you care about people and what they think and relationships and such. And that's going to be turned off when you're looking at porn. So then what happens is research shows that the brain starts deteriorating, because you're training the brain for just pleasure, and that then everybody's just going to be an object to you. It's going to be an object for your pleasure. Because it's the same part of the brain you can manipulate tools with. So everybody's just a tool, a screwdriver, a hammer for you to use. It becomes that you use them. And this is what women who are married to those that are addicted to porn, they will feel like an object, that it's no longer about making love. It'll be, I feel as though I'm just being used for sex. And so this is what again, when you watch porn, you're training the brain that sex is an adrenaline high. It's not about, I love you and I want to make love to you. Okay, 2 different ball games going on there. Again, one's not using the prefrontal cortex, especially that left medial prefrontal cortex. It's lights out, man, in New York City. You're just lighting up the adrenaline rush, and it's going to have to get higher and higher and higher. You're going to have to do weirder and weirder and weirder and weirder things to where clients are sticking cucumbers in their wives, there's some really weird stuff that starts happening. That, again, it's going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and it needs to stop, okay? It just needs to stop. Again, it damages the brain. And the brain definitely does wilt. It just doesn't grow like it's supposed to. It will degenerate, and it's very unhealthy. But you will no longer see people as people. You will no longer be able to care about them as a person. You will not have those skills. You will have experienced relationship where the person was addicted to porn and I was just an object for the next adrenaline high. It had nothing to do with, I'm going to make love to Deanna because I love you. It wasn't about my characteristics. It was about, they want that next adrenaline high, and can we do it this tweaky way and this tweaky way? And it was a constant, okay? It was not emotionally healthy. And now, this stuff can all be healed. It will take work, though. I've not seen it where, okay, be healed. No. You got your neural pathway work to do. You got your soul work to do, which is brain associations. You got to go and get those brain associations shifted over to And again, I truly think EMDR is required. Now, I'm not saying somebody didn't get healed. I'm just saying that do not think it's that easy. Now, if it is easy, praise God. But for those of you that have not received healing yet, and you struggle with same gender attraction or even porn addiction or stuff, keep working it. You know, some people healed quickly. Some people took 14 years to 12 years to heal, 30 years to heal. I mean, healing takes what it takes. But as long as you're examining yourself and you're trying to get into alignment with God's order and God's will, God's design, you will be rewarded. But who knows how long it will take, because I don't know what it is God wants you to learn. We're all here learning different stuff, and it's just going to take what it takes. So now, looks like my time is up, so I'm going to end here. What I do want to get into next time is that attachment, family of origin kind of stuff, or friends, that support system that the person was supposed to connect to and feel really emotionally attuned with. We're going to go look at the things that can go awry. Okay? Again, I'm not here blaming anybody. I'm not here shaming anybody, but I think it's really smart for us all to examine. Like me as a parent, I've certainly had to examine things and say sorry to my children and help them to repair that, because, oh man, sorry son. Okay? We always need to help others repair damage that we've caused. Again, we don't have to shame ourselves for it. We're all covered in the blood of Jesus. And according to the Greek, we're not supposed to shame ourselves. Examine doesn't mean to shame yourself. It means to correct it so that you're hitting a bullseye instead of missing the mark. But there doesn't need to be any shame with any of this. But I need society starting to really examine parenting style, that whole issue of emotional attunement, connection, examining protocol for how to understand your children's thought life. Because do you see how much could be corrected in midstream if you knew to press towards those brain associations? I don't know if I've told you, I think I may have, or I know I've told some clients where when my son was 12, one of my sons was 12, and he went to a Boy Scout camp, and it was a week, and he came back. I didn't even recognize my son. He was so hands wilting, that like, what happened to him? So I waited a day to just see, well, maybe he's tired or something. And then the next day I saw he just looked more depressed than he did the first day. And again, he's 12 years old. So I said, did something happen at scout camp? And he's all, Mom, I was told I'm gay. And I said, what do you mean? So he told me how all week long he was told, you're gay, you're gay, you're gay, you're gay. Because this particular son is a very soft, sweet, no malice in this boy. He couldn't hurt a fly. He's just no malice. He's so sweet and soft and doesn't speak for him. He's not gregarious like some of his other brothers, but he's a very sweet boy. And I've never seen him harm anybody. And he doesn't have that strong male identity, and he isn't into sports, so he's not like that either. So do you see the risk there that, he's not going to feel male because he's not like the other guys that like to do sports, and he's just your kind of scientific guy. He's very, computer and science, and very smart young man, gifted IQ. So I was so glad I caught this in midstream because and he's a concrete thinker. If somebody says it's true, he's just going to believe you. Well, then it must be true, because he said, well, it must be true, Mom. I'm like, well, what makes you think it should be true? Again, there's your what questions. What makes you think that? And he says, because they said it. I said, well, what does it mean to you that they said it? Well, they wouldn't tell a lie. Like, yes, they would. But see here, this shows you how sweet my son is, that he trusts so implicitly, he doesn't think anybody could lie to him. And I had to wake him up. Awake and arise. You're in the celestial kingdom here where it's fallen. So we had this talk, and I was able to help him to shift. And now I wish I'd known EMDR then, but I didn't, because I certainly would have moved that trauma or whatever. But I certainly talked to him about no, that's a lie, and that I did ask him, well, tell me about any attraction. And he did say, no, I am attracted to girls, Mom. But again, he thought, but they said it, so it must be true. Because a concrete thinker, it's like you've got wet concrete, and you stick your handprint in there to write your name. Okay, boom, now it's a done deal. Now you have a handprint in the sidewalk when it dries. Okay, you're not going to get it out now. You can't sand it. It's the handprint is there. And so if you're a concrete thinker, they take it literally. And then especially if you think nobody's going to lie to you, do you see how then the handprint gets put into the sidewalk and it's done? That's the problem with concrete thinkers. Their brains don't shift to where, no, maybe this is true. They have a hard time shift. No, that's got to be true. Okay? Because with those concrete thinkers, their anterior cingulate area of their brain is typically kind of inflamed, or maybe there's a scallop in that part of the brain, and the brain doesn't shift the way that God intended it to shift. So again, you have to be very careful with things you say, because they take it all so literally. And then again, it's going to be a handprint in the sidewalk. All right? So we have to know when we have children that are concrete thinkers, we have to be very careful what you say. When you say you're going to take them to Disneyland, take them to Disneyland, because they're not going to care if it's raining or snowing or what. They're just going to go. And then you see, you said you'd take me to Disneyland, and now they're going to develop a mistrust of things you say. Do you see the problem when you have a concrete thinker as a child? It can get really frustrating. Okay, but it's a matter of really understanding how that child thinks and being very careful about those promises that you're going to make, because you want to set it up for him being able to trust in what you say. Now, granted, you're going to have to try to teach them how to shift. And so I'd be praying over that anterior cingulate area of the brain. Pray, function the way that God intended in the name of Jesus, because whatever symptoms you notice, you want to be praying over that stuff. So do you see, as parents, we need to know how the brain works so that we can pray over our children. And I was even praying over one of my grandsons one time, because I noticed some of this concrete thinking stuff. So I just commanded a brain cap be put on his head so that there's going to be neural pathways going from the right to the left, because I already knew, and we've seen massive improvement in him since praying over him. Okay, so you got to believe in prayer. But so whatever you see, you can start praying over instead of freaking out over. But that's why I'm trying to educate people on all this stuff, so that we can get people healed. Because I do believe that Jesus Christ, that his dunamis power can heal anything and everything. Now, again, I don't know how long it will take. I don't know how much effort has to be put into it, because healing takes what it takes. But I believe in it. And again, it's like Jesus said, wilt thou be healed? I do believe everything can be healed, but there's some work to do sometimes. Okay? So this is part 2 of our Same Gender Attraction series. And next week, again, I'm really going to hit the whole parenting styles, the different patterns that I've seen with the clients that I've worked with, so that then parents can be involved in the healing and they can shift up these patterns. And again, no blame. I mean, this issue is so complicated that we can't hone it down to one thing, okay? But we can certainly improve things so that their healing has a better chance of happening. Alrighty? So thanks for coming, and again, part 3 will be next week, and we'll go more into the whole parent aspect of it. Okay, thank you.